Welcome back. Before we break down today's chart, this is strictly for educational purposes and is based on my personal professional experience. It is not financial advice or a live trade signal. Remember, the past performance doesn't guarantee future results, and all views are my own. Let's look at the data. All right. So again, at the open here, we have like a expanding wedge style sort of movement, fake off at the open, where people are trying to be, you know, more involved, but at the end of the day, the market wants to get rid of them. We're basically right at all-time high again still. It's at all-time high, cresting all-time high. This is the highest consolidation it's ever been in the history of time. It's a little late for long-term holding ideas, but there's been one plan for the institution's agenda, and it's been to move their long-term assets as far as possible, hedging against them along the way. Nothing too interesting today. That's not like, I could apply many different things that, we have used throughout the days that's just not so inclining to do, to be fair. Like this is very rising wedge like. Yeah, I think it's somewhat of an environment where it could be said that it's not like a normal traditional environment, and like, it's not it's an environment that has higher risk to it because it's nowhere near where the institutions are beginning. But everybody that begins every day just like a normal day, they give it the same energy every day. They think they have just as much of a shot every day. And in my opinion, it should be very, very, like, everyone should be very cautious, not aggressive up here. I don't think it's funny too because like I don't even have the inclination to try and find something out of it, to try and dig something out of it. Like everyone wants to know something, wants to understand something. I'm like, I don't right now. It's kind of funny. It's like not, I think that everything we're doing is going to continuously be overlapped for valueless movements that are just for short-term traders. Yeah, we basically have like an expanding wedge to start the day, and we've just been working it, and it's a shakeout pattern as I see it. Like the market's like pissed off that all these like noobs have shown up at the open, and it has to deal with them. That's the way I feel like it is right now. Like when I scroll out on this chart, we'll see that like what we're using is analysis from yesterday. Where we were all day and night was using the 261 to the 188. They have the capacity to send it all the way down to those levels down there, which we haven't done. At the end of the day, it's been locked in between those levels. It's not a traditional way to use them. It's playing games. And watch, just as people are getting ready to like quit, I'll like burst into action and be ready to fucking start telling everyone exactly what I think is important. It just seems like whatever is working for people right now, they better cling on to it while they can because it's about to change. Again, the only thing I can say is like, how do you think the institutions are positioned? They're not starting anything from around here, not even a hedge. So what are you doing? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's just hard for me to comprehend. It's just very hard for me to comprehend. It doesn't seem like the right way. We're at all-time high. It's offered peanuts since we've opened. Everyone's giving it full attention, super, oh my God, like it's just like, yo. And by the time we're actually ready, everyone's going to be soft. I can see it already. But I look at it like, the things that I've been mentioning have been really high value. Everything I see on the chart is subpar to what I have been mentioning. Everybody's ready for me to mention something that's really valuable, but all I see is peanuts on the screen with its 17 ATR. A lot of chop and I can see the institutions are in the state of dealing with them. I mean, I don't like the idea of being them. And when I think that their patterns mean something to something that's beginning from here, I'd find that interesting. I just don't think that it's beginning from here. I think that we've got an extension of something we've already been doing. People are trying to make sense of it so that they can be part of something that they've missed out on. But they're eager and eager and eager because they think more of it is to come for them or something. But they don't fucking matter because they're not part of it. And they want to be so badly. But it's just not that way. Nothing you can do about it. And I'm like, they're trying and trying and trying. And I'm like, well, that trying should have been there. before. I'm like, now that it's happened, it's so hard for me to see that there's any effort that should be done in there. And I'm like, well, the time where I was begging everyone to do something, everyone was timid. Now I think you should be fucking timid. It's just funny how things work. Some way that they've moved it today that's enticed people to get involved, I think. And what do they think? Their gains are safe here at all time high? Sure, we'll go to 30,000, but will these people from this open be safe? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think they're all freaking scrubs, you know? That's the way I see it. They're not important people trading at this open. They're hoarding into a node that is an embarrassing spot for any trade. You know, what are we doing? Going away to turn it into the 61 so we can get more people to trade there? Half the people are going to be short because it's high. And it's not even at the highest point yet still. So all those people that have shorted it and have been wrong are now just meeting all-time high. And I'm like, hey, that's how I feel, you know. I'm not, and I can say it's another day where the long-term holders win again as well. And it's funny that any day in the past, if you just stuck with any day in the past, this day would be free and you wouldn't have to be concerned with taking action on all these subpar patterns and movements, but just benefit off of a continuation to a plan that you already knew was in play. I don't know how many times everybody knew we were going to all-time high. Everybody knew we were doing this plan and that their plan was to go to all-time high. I don't know how many videos I made about all-time high and everything like that. And they want to turn on and off the amount that they try, and they want to turn on and off the timidness, and I see that it's like a switch that they flick on and off at their convenience. Like I try all the time with the same difficulty, the same veracity all the time, never shut off, even when it's sideways, engine running. Do we think that the gains that we make above today's high are likely to hold for the long term? I don't think so. I think they're easy to overlap, but from points like they can be tedious to catch. And I respect that. I don't think it's, it should be the lifeline of somebody to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight for this measly upwards movement to be overlapped. Because that's peanuts still. Like, even to spend the day doing that's missing the long term picture. Yeah, sure, I believe it will be overlapped. Doesn't have to be from today, it can be from tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the fucking morning that we decide to overlap all of this and then just end up right back at the high again. That's like really likely. So, where do these people fit in? I see two moves ahead and I'm not impressed. Sure, they can day trade, but are they day trading for a grand master plan? Something that they can benefit them for days to come? No, they're not working for that, even though they know that everyone that worked as hard as they did every day prior got that, and they work today and they won't have that, I believe. And you can tell my mindset is not one that is, geared to try and please anyone. It's just shine reality as I see it on anything that I can see be dangerous or opportunistic. And I'm less interested in opportunistic than I am dangerous, because at the end of the day, danger is the one thing that I want to notice first. That's the one thing that I want to comprehend first. The one thing I want to have to deal with first. Like, if you see an opportunity, like on the other side of the room, like to do something, to gain something, but there's a significant danger along the way, what do? Do you deal with the danger and make sure that it's not going to hurt you before you deal with the opportunity, or what do you do? It's ironic though, because I can see that like any one of the other plans that I've set in the past for this same trend, the same journey, the same motion, any long trade, that's ever been any one of these days in the past that's allowed to get away with holding to the next day, there's never been another day that has come back and swiped it away. It's always been manually sold. So I can see that is the biggest problem. When it's not come back down to take it from you, instead it's manually sold. It means that positions like this, people have to, you know, get tempted to get involved now. And I can see it's all about them. It's all about them. The institutions are likely to do their next favorite thing when most of the people aren't actually around. I'm looking at that being the case for this movement. Everything that we do for them, we make sure hurts them after. I'm very confident. So curious to see what happens with the people of this day Do I think anything significant so that they can get lucky on it? I don't really think so. Most important trend's going to be the uptrend because we're getting really close to it. But I'm pretty cynical about it and not optimistic in this case. And that can change on a dime. You know, it's like this is what I've rode in today and I'm not impressed. Not impressed. I feel like it's subpar to everything that we've done in the past and it's not adequate enough for the people that understand real value. As the value that has been given has been so much more than what is given now. And to fight tooth and nail for something that's not worth as much. You know, you should be able to develop the patience after understanding what is good for you and then seeing something that's not. Like there are fibs. We're getting hung up on the favorites too. Like I'm skeptical of the fibs that we've been using, the way we've been using them. I expect things to change. This isn't where the institutions are looking at starting anything new. You know, they're looking at changing processes and making things that work not work anymore. Adapting, making new patterns that we haven't seen for months perhaps. You know, the way that people have been used to, I expect to be tested. So good luck with that too. If we think everything's going to be the same, I think we're going to get a rude awakening. The things are changing. And the institutions are going to do their best. And I can see that. And it's very likely that we don't use 188s and 261s in the way that we have. Maybe we'll find the odd one, but I would suspect that there should be traps with them. There should be traps with them. There should be traps with the things that have been valuable. There should be. So when I think that, you know, it advises extreme caution for any piece of analysis that, you know, is seen because it doesn't mean the same fucking thing it did before. I don't believe it. You know, that's the difference between me and most people. They're like, "Ah, it worked so well for me. I can't wait to be able to see it again." Ridiculous. We have no reason to believe that that's the case right now. We have to understand that change is the danger, and if we're not adapting to it clearly, then and if it's not valuable change as well, like if it doesn't mean that we're going to move anywhere for significance and stay away or maintain the gains, or if there's going to be incredible baggage along the way or incredibly high likelihood of overlapping, it increases the risk. And do we have those risks at the beginning of a plan usually? You know, I would say that because the reward is so high, you know, when we knew that there was over 3,500 points to get to the all-time high, and then we get to the middle and it's still like, oh, still every day. And now we come up here, I'm just like, it's not good enough for me. Not good enough for me. We don't start every day afresh. You know, it's just not good enough for me. This day is a continuation of the institution's plan. I can see that. When they look at where they started, they don't see the beginning of the fucking day like everyone else. That's ridiculous. This is not even the beginning to the fib set here. Like the trends that broke into this, like this is an extension of this entry as far as I'm concerned. You know, in the short term, their assets are likely to be short-term assets that they're going to be selling off in these areas and so on, but they're going to be acquired from short-term distances ago as well. They're not going to touch their assets from 1985. They're going to try and get them to go to 10,000% as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, the bobs and weaves that happen along the way, they have to do nothing quickly, nothing quickly. So they just have to do it the right way. They have to make sure that when they do something that the people don't have the ability to bog it down and to snuff it out. But I am confident that what gains we do have beyond the day's high will be taken back in time. Whether it be today, tomorrow, or a week from now, I don't find it very likely that it holds. And it's not something that I believe is healthy to short either. It'll be like a needle in a haystack reversal from 2 o'clock in the morning at some point in the near future. That's the way I feel about it. You know, people that are really dedicated, they could find it, and it's just going to be a tiny little movement in comparison to the big one that we've had up. So they're going to work tooth and nail for something that's not even half the value, not even a quarter of the value of the real plan. And I'm like, they might get chewed up and spit out just trying to do that, and they deserve it. Like literally, it's not the beginning of the plan. They don't have the patience to wait for the next one. And they're going to try and avoid all of the learning until they get to the point that suits them, where if we don't protect long trades, if we don't use stops to protect the profits, if we don't have, you know, awareness of the likelihood of being like this overlap that I keep talking about, it's wise. Now I'm looking at the 261 and 188 skeptically. I'm like, how are we going to change how we use it? How are we going to change how we use it? Because I know when the institutions are looking at a day like today, it's going to be very much like, what do you want to give them? Okay, they're going to see this. Okay, where's this going to position them? It's not like the institutions are sweating buckets over doing something new themselves. No, managing the existing plans, as I see it. The steep trends that we have too are typically not safe to hold for a long time either. Will the 188-200 be used as a green zone, as it was in the overnight session? And are people not catching on to that? Like, do we find a way to just recycle them and then deal with new people on such a regular basis that we can keep using the same thing over and over and over again to get rid of them? And because they all learn in a very similar way and act in a similar way, it works on all of them no matter where they come from, no matter what they learn on the internet. It just seems to be, they touch the human inside of them. Doesn't matter what their fucking strategy is, it's not good enough. At the end of the day, it doesn't change enough either to adapt to the changes of the market. So they're hopeless. And I'm like, from the bottom of my heart, that's how I feel. I believe that there's one right way to do it. The world doesn't agree. I believe in certainty. I believe in one right way at any given time, and I believe it's not an opinion. And I believe our goal every day is to use the tools to seek the information that enlightens the key to that day, to that move, to that time. But yeah, here we are chopping at that consolidation, and and I looked at it for a second. And I was like, well, is that what they deserve? Like a lot of the people will get to spawn in and see that it's stuck to the high, and I mean they'll be gawking over the movement that happened at the beginning of this day, not even concerned with the entry from yesterday, which actually looks like a real entry. Like if you zoom out and look at the whole day, does it look like the beginning of the day today was the beginning of the plan? Even the short-term plan? I'm like, no, it wasn't. It's pitiful. The day's open could turn into the 61. Like I was talking about before, we go and make that node where they all are into the 61, come down and make them trade there again. Just guiding them into the thing that they know. It's almost like I could see how people don't know when to be excited about things, and I think that they long to be. They're like, I just want that feeling. It makes it so much easier for me to get through the day if I can feel like that. I don't know. And if they had to experience it for 1,000 years, like imagine they got to live for 10,000 years, do you think they'd still act like that? Something tells me they'd learn their way out of it. And it's just the little bit of time at the beginning, like a new relationship or like a new experience, and they're still getting off on it, and that's their whole life. I'm like, really? It's their whole life, just a small blip on what actually matters, and they're just distracted the whole fucking time. So I find that very strange. That's what I believe, though. Until I see different, my beliefs won't change. But yeah, all of the stuff that we've been doing in the day, isn't it funny that we're just getting overlapped again? Watch the 188-200 to be used as a green zone temporarily as well, because we have been doing that. But again, it just goes to show that everything that they've given were just for the people of this day. It's not like the institutions are advancing their plan from here or anything like that. It's all just for the people that show up, literally. And today they're like, wow, look at how many people showed up. Look at how many people are eager. They're saying that. They're like, okay, fine, we'll play your game. Let's deal with them. We're not moving anywhere until they leave. That's the attitude of the institutions. Not moving anywhere until they're gone, till we've dealt with them. So what does it mean? You have to have more than what most people have to make it through this. And if you don't have what most people have, then you'll have to find it. You'll have to become better. Like if you don't have the discipline that it takes to make it through this, then you'll have to find it. And it's funny because you may not have had the discipline before this. You've had to find it and now you have it. It's like trading can make you disciplined where you weren't disciplined before. You won't survive if you don't develop it. So
It's like it will force you to be disciplined. It will force you to be patient. And I understand that. I'm like, do you understand the value of being patient and being disciplined? You know, when I call a day a buffer day, this is a very similar day to a buffer day. It's got a little bit more short-term action on it because people get enticed about all-time high. Making it a little bit more flavorful is okay for these people. Do they actually, they think that this is real value too. And that brings a smile to my face because they have no fucking clue. It's like they missed the whole train. And they're like, let me just sit on the bumper while it's sitting here at the station. And that's what I feel like. They're like, when's the train going? I'm like, bro, train's not moving anymore, man. Like, we're here. It's getting fucking, it's going to the engineers for repairs. And they're like, I'm on the front of the train. I'm not even in the fucking back where the people sit. I'm on the front, on the grill. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm like, they don't get the point, do they? The train's already arrived. They're not even sitting in the right spot. They're there for the thrill. They understand that trains move. They understand it got here somehow. And they wish they could be part of that. But they're just dying inside that the train doesn't move when they sit on the front of it. They're like, I'm here. A big smile on their face. And, you know, you could see it. You could see a 5-year-old doing that, and it would be fine, right? Be like, I understand. He doesn't know. But a grown man? I'm on the grill, the most dangerous part that I'm likely to fall off, and the train's not even moving anymore. And I'm like, he gets off the train and hurts his knee, ends up falling over anyway. So I'm like, why did you do that? You don't know it's dangerous to get on, you know, a non-moving train, and like, especially if you're not going to sit on the right seat and be like where everyone's supposed to be on the train and like do it properly like everyone else does. We don't even concern ourselves with acting like that because it's so wrong, right? Then when we do it in trading and they're like, oh, I don't even know. And it's like, oh, it's just another day, right? Get on the front of a train. And then it's like, it reminds me, it's just, they don't see it like that though. They just go into danger with a smile on their faces. And it reminds me of the oblivious nature of the average trader trying to see this as value when the value's way, 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 way gone and sailed, in my opinion. And what they're dishing out now is something that's rather dangerous and subpar to any of the plans that they have created prior to this day. And everyone just jumps through hoops like it's just a normal day where they're starting their plan from scratch like it's all time fucking low. And they don't see a problem with that at all. Like that guy that you were mentioning, oh, where do I get back in? He's actually considering it. Like he's so close to doing something really foolish. Doesn't even consider it. And I'm like, to me, it feels like a brick wall. One of those things where it's like, even if I had to tell them, like, they are so stuck into, well, I do it my way and you do it your way. I'm like, good luck, buddy. Because when I see something, it's not a fucking guess. Not a fucking guess. My next hour of learning is likely going to teach me more than what most people fucking see when they look at the market all day long. They can look at it all day long and learn nothing, see nothing, understand nothing. You know, and that's the funny part about it. I'm not like that though. I learn every single day. I force myself to. I'm not comfortable with myself unless I'm better every fucking day. Every day. So I don't look to end my day because I can't wait for it to finish. That's how most people are. Oh, can't wait until I can go home and fucking slack off, eh? Looking great. Haven't done that enough. I find it's a time where you don't want to be super inclined on taking actions, being neutral and passive, and maybe almost like you're less inclined to take action because you can see the danger in just being overlapped in the future. And I'm like, oh, you can try and snatch a peanut off the table. Are you going to be full? You want some more peanuts? You know, because it's like it reminds me of trying to grab a French fry out of a fucking oily vat, like one of those like deep fryer machines where it's like bubbling and it's hot and everything. And like, you want to try and grab a French fry while the French fries are in the fucking oil. You must be real hungry, right? You want to put that much potential danger and like hurting your hand and being scolded because you want a little nibble. You want a little nibble, don't you? When just 5 minutes before we had dinners on the tables all around and you didn't want to eat it. And I'm like, I've been a kid before and been told that. Like, now you want food? And I'm like, we just had dinner and you didn't eat it. And this time I see it like that. I'm like, everybody's trying to grab a French fry, scolding their hands. I'm I'm like missing the fact that a feast was just on the table, and they're all like, "Oh, I saw those guys eating that feast. Now I want to try because I saw how good it was for them. Now let's go." I'm like, "Where's my feast?" I'm like, "Trains just got to the station, and the guy's getting off for the evening. He's gonna go home. You came on the wrong day. This isn't the day where the train leaves the station. This is the day where we take it back and start doing repairs." And we just stall out the whole day. Everybody just has to wait at the station. Like, hotels over there if you want to stay in a hotel. If not, you can just wait at the station stop until we're ready the next day. And what's funny is you'll wake up the next day and find out that it's not even going to the place that you want to go, because you're in the wrong spot altogether. It's not the beginning of any journey. It's just fucking terrible. And I don't see how tomorrow is going to be any different than that. It's for short-term traders. It's not for the institutions to begin. People don't get that. It's not like in the future it's not going to be a position again where the institutions are attracted to it. You just want to get burned up in this environment before you can wait. What's funny is the next time the institutions are all getting geared up to buy themselves, you'll be alive most likely. But will you have lost all your money in this kind of an environment before you can actually take what's good for you? Do you have the patience to not grab the fucking burning hot fucking French fry and scold your hand? Because like when people trade NQ, and blow up one fucking trade whole account, that's scolding your hand on a French fry, and it creates a lingering fear that is easily tested when you do one thing wrong, and all of a sudden it resurfaces again. And all of that confusion and uncertainty comes back like it's never left. It's only just a facade when it leaves. Because the one thing that can make it truly leave is a solid understanding. A solid understanding, an absolute conviction that it is going to do what it's going to do. And in my opinion, that's a certainty. And taking actions on those certainties are something that we're in control of. We can choose whether or not this is good enough for us, or whether or not we're going to wait until the time we'll be alive anyways, where the institutions are going to do it themselves too. And it doesn't mean try and avoid all the time until then. You'll never know what the opportunity looks like. You won't know the journey. But my conclusion is, if people didn't try to avoid what wasn't difficult for them, then they would learn. And if they had the patience to wait for what was good for them, then they would have the opportunity to take action on that. But instead, they have to trade every day. They have to trade all around. They have to give it the same veracity as every single day, because it's a new day for them. It's a new day for everyone, right? It's not continuing a plan that started at some other day. It's a new day every day. Day trader. Day traders start their day every day. I'm a day trader. I start my day every day. And I just do the same thing over and over again, expecting the same result. I'm like, fucking hell. Here we go again. They don't have any patience to learn the next thing. That's why when I make videos online, it's so funny to me that YouTube suggests beginner trading videos, and there's never advanced trading videos, because people don't make it to advanced trading videos. They don't make it to them. They all stop at basics and begin, and wonder why it's tough, because they never learn out of basics. We wouldn't let that in any other industry happen. And the first step with being able to change anything is understanding how it is. And if we're oblivious to how it is, then our ability to change it's going to be very fucking scattergun, all over the place. And a lot of people just leave it up to somebody else. And one day, what if that person says, fuck you, and everyone has to figure it out themselves? Will you have the ability to have an input? Will you give any kind of help? Or are you just going to let them do it? Because that's how I feel like most people are. They're just going to let them do it. Be told what to do. And not think about anything for anyone else. Just be told what to do. Go to work. Here's your role. Fill it. And I think it's important. Like I say, history, it does repeat itself, but especially when we don't understand it or remember it, and we're doomed to repeat it again. But when we know what we've done, we know the wrongs that we've done, and we know what worked and what didn't work, are we going to do the shit that didn't work? No, because we know the history of what happened. We know, that the fucking fleas caused the plague and shit like that. We need to remember that. If we forgot, it could be very problematic, right? It might repeat itself again. You see the problem? Why it's important to know what happened before, even in the market, right? It's important to know what happened last Wednesday. You should be able to draw me a picture, And then I'm like, so what's funny is we all have the time to know it that well. We all have the ability to remember it that well. We choose not to. I don't share that. I remember. I care. So I don't try to avoid. People were more objective oriented, and I think that that's what we need to be in this industry. Objective oriented. Everything done with purpose, everything done for reason, nothing done for emotion, nothing done because I make sure that I do things that are on track at all times towards the objective and meeting the goal. And if there was a problem, the first thing to do is address it. You kidding me? We all have the ability to click the buttons and do something. We can choose to be in and out. We can choose to be involved. We can choose to remain on the journey and understand the plan, because there's nothing that would help more to the next action that we take than to be as informed as possible. No? Isn't it interesting how we had 1, 2, and 3 into 1, 2, and 3? And it sort of started with sharp and then choppy, and then sharp to overlap that chop, and then choppy. Consistency is intentional. I haven't said that in a while. But yeah, guys, okay, so did everything come back to where we were? Was everything bullshit? You know? Everything was bullshit. Everyone was excited about something that didn't last. Oh shit. Everyone was excited about something that didn't last, and now we're back at where we were at 9:30 basically. 9:30 is right here. So we haven't quite connected with it yet, but don't be surprised if we do. We just failed to 61. It's miserable. At the end of the day, I'm like, that's okay. The day where everything that we do ends up back at where we were because it doesn't matter to the institutions to keep it away from where it is. They're perfectly comfortable taking their day, your day, and just fucking scrunching it up. And like, if you know that somebody's out to get you, you can actively protect against it. But when it's a surprise, it hurts that much more. So that's why when I say these things, I'm trying to alleviate the surprise. You know, the surprise can throw you off. That's the thing. Surprise throws people off. It gives them a sudden rush of excitement. So the 188's getting a response now. I'm more inclined now to say that things matter. So everything changes. This blue line is something to be interested in. I believe that it will be seen. At the end of the day, it is something that we love to connect with. ATR has jumped up a little bit since we've gotten into this little dump right here. From what I can see, any time beyond 1206, we'll have to break the trend to get to the blue one. And the beautiful thing about it is there's a lot of points on the table just to achieve small things like that, which is funny to me because they are a means to an end also. You know, the most attractive reversals of the day have been on 3 drives, but closer to extremes. The ones that are closer to the middle are less attractive than ones that insinuate an entire trend reversal and a new beginning of a new trend. But instead, when we get to the middle, it's a little bit more insistent on consolidations and slower, smaller movements that have less impact over a greater period of time because it's not the best price for anything. It's true that the beginning of the day was lower than where we are now, and that keeping that price is easier and safer than buying this one. There's not any risk in holding that one. You risk the profit that you have, but not any losses. Taking this, you potentially could lose, meaning that you're better off just holding from a previous time through what we're doing here. But starting from today, I don't think is the wisest place for long-term holders to be in from. Do I think they're safe? No. I don't think anybody that started today and chooses to hold is safe. No, I don't believe it. I think that they will eventually be overlapped, both directions. Nobody's safe, I don't think. We will come back over all long trades and short trades of this entire day in the future. I am a firm believer. So all of the up that we do will be overlapped by down. All of the down that we do will eventually be overlapped by up on this day from what I can see. And that just means that what happens from today is not a significant thing that lasts for time in the future. And I could see that from the beginning. You know, that's why I've been so against it. I don't really care for direction at all because all direction gets reverted back to where it began and ends up being a scrap on the table in comparison to what they've given for a feast the days before and weeks before. Now people fight with the same tenacity for things that are worth so much less and things that matter so much less, things that hold for so much
less, and they still look at it as just as attractive as something that was valuable and worth fighting for, worth conquering, something that was glorious. This is not glorious. To the untrained eye, it might be. To the scalper, it might be. Sure. And I mean, sure, there's nothing wrong with scalping it, but I'm like, it's kind of cringe, at the end of the day. We are at all-time high. We're making all these moves for all the people. There's people that are following the master plan, and there's people that are starting from here. When we look back at the end of our lives, we'll be able to say, did I have the patience to avoid what was bad for me? And the discipline and awareness to hone in on what was good for me? Could I identify the difference of between a risk and an opportunity? Can I turn risks into opportunities? Are they worth doing? I'm like, yeah, sure, these are risks that could be turned into small opportunities. And you can go for those small opportunities if you wish. Some days we have days where they're full of small moves and there's no traps. There's no failed patterns. They all play out. They all have targets. They all work really well. Other days we see 1, 2, and 3 drives. We see the 61, everything failing. No targets necessarily on the screen. I haven't drawn a green dash line all day. And I don't even plan on doing it, to be fair. I never plan on doing it, actually. Never. I only do it when it should be done. That's the way for that day. Not because I feel like implementing that strategy like people do. Oh, this one worked for me another day, so I'm going to try and find it today. That's not respecting what the market does and adapting to it. That's not even caring about what the market does. And just remember that everything that we see on the chart is destined to end up at that blue line. And there's no way that we can do it until we break the yellow one. No way. We know that, like I said, past '06, that the yellow line will have to break in order to get to the blue. So unless we're breaking that yellow line, thinking about the blue is naive. If there's no risk that we're going to break the trend, which I mean, there is a big risk that we're going to break that trend, in the near future too. And when we do, that is the only way that we can begin the journey to the blue line. The only way to exit this trend is by that line, or else we're in it forever. Like the human would be in the room forever. If we never exited the door, we'll be in that room forever. There's only one way out, and it's clear. Because we can drop forever and we'll always be in this trend, right? We'll always be in this trend. If we keep, like, there's no way that downwards movement will ever break this trend or change it. Downwards movement will always hold the trend. The only thing that can break it, well, there's two things: sideways movement, or no movement, or upwards movement. So sideways movement is no movement, and upwards movement is actively against the trend. That's two things that can break it, one thing that can keep it. And the one thing that needs to happen to keep a trend has to have constant energy expenditure, constant application of selling to maintain the trend at the degree that it falls, 63-degree angle. We have to maintain selling pressure to maintain a 63-degree angle so long as this trend survives. We can see this 61 failed. This 188 failed. This 261 failed. When a 61 fails, we love to use these levels. It's just priorities. We have to prioritize when the move is happening. Like those days where I'm like, hey, and we have to like be on all night long kind of thing. It's really valuable because there's about 3,500 points on the table. It's like every day counts, everything matters, everything, every bit of our essence. Like, what is the job? The job is to be exposed. Once you understand the value of holding one, then you can make it two. And then the game becomes how much can you hold to the place that you know it will go, because you don't get paid anymore for doing anything else. Yeah, no, good trade on that though. This is an increase in volatility. I just want to point out that what we did was go from these fibs down here to the 61. As soon as we did that, that was basically like a reconnection with the triangle. That was the bare minimum that they were allowing for this movement. And then it turned into something that was violently harming the people that were involved again. And it's funny because the people that think they're getting something from the dump, they will be wiped out too. These people that are catching the longs, they think they're getting treated badly. Wait until you see how the fucking bears are going to be treated. The blue line. The most attractive place to go, though, in my opinion, is going to be back to this level. Back to that node right there. That area where it is the tip of the triangle, that's the most attractive place to be. which when I can see how we've managed to move around it, it's very much like we've managed to go into something that could be made equal on both sides. Like, is this something that we could do to get down to the B points down below kind of thing? Like, is that an appropriate distance that we're making on the other side of the spectrum? And maybe it takes the same amount of time to return back as it did before. Like, this same amount of time to come back could be something that we could consider. You know, what time would that be? Be like power hour? But when we make the movement to plateau towards the extreme, we could say that that's easily about half the time of this movement. And I look at this as well. I'm like, well, it's not so far off. Like being able to return generally back up to that area is what I'm looking at. Is it being able to complete a movement back to that point right there? If we get there sooner, that's acceptable as well. But the one irony of it all is we know that making that same distance underneath that POC has been a reason to consider coming back to it, as everything that we've done today has began and ended at that POC. Anyways, so here we are striving to try and be on the other side of the entire triangle. Now, of course, we used to have a trend like this before. Like it's remarkably similar to the one that we have now. Just be aware of the fact that we're running into the actual biggest node. I've highlighted it, right? This like dimmed out blue bar because it's a neutral zone. It's a neutral area of slow, choppy misery. So how do we operate when we get involved? Will we treat it as it was? Will we use it as a barrier like we have now? You know, I just find it temporary, but we run into something where we had such a small presence or such a large presence, sorry. We can almost feel the edge of it. This is the line that matters more than all others on the chart, and the fact that we're getting involved with being close to it and crunching time for it, basically, we have to understand that it is the thing that matters to create volatility in this environment the most. Sometimes we're more inclined on grinding them, but today it's been avoiding it. It's like right here we can see we've tried multiple times to get involved with it. It's been trying to prevent people from getting involved with it or seeing the virtue or value in its breaking. And I can see that when it does break, it's likely to be quite well. Does it have to be easy? No, we have to manage to get to the trend in order to break it. That's a fact. And at any given time, we can always ask the market how much time it has if it was to move nowhere. Because at any given time, so long as we're underneath the red yellow line, it only has a limited amount of time to go sideways. If we choose at any level to go sideways for a specific amount of time, eventually we will run into the red yellow line. So the question becomes, does anything in this area take enough time to make us get to that red yellow line? You know, will we have the need to be somewhere for so long that it's a threat to the trend? Is another way to look at it. And again, when I see that it is difficult and that all they offer is peanuts, the institutions are the ones that are essentially comfortable with this day not being anything that is an incredible advancement or change on any of their assets, but rather, when we look back in retrospect, a buffer day that takes back overnight gains for a small portion, a very small portion of the overall trend. Yet somebody could sign on and see an entire downwards move the whole day. And I'm like, you want to know what that entire downwards move looks like in the bigger picture? Looks like this. And almost every other time that we've pulled back inside of this trend, it's been for more. Perhaps except for this time. This was more. This was more. This was more. This probably was still more. This one. Maybe not this one. But most of them. We know that the value of breaking barriers is to increase volatility. If we start to increase volatility to exit the triangle, I mean, everything can change. Everything can change. Just thought of myself here too is you remember how in the morning we made an M that had a W in it? Are we gonna make a W that has an M in it? And I'm like, might sound pretty basic, but in any which way, shape, and form, do we have a corresponding pattern that matches the symmetry of this one? And could it be a W with an M in it somewhere? You know, it's not a stupid question, even though you might have to squint to see it. Like, you might be like, well, we tried to do it here. It could have been a W to match the M there. Like, if I was like, is that an M? And is this so fucked up that it couldn't be considered a W that matches? Hmm. Well, if we did go up back to the B point that the M left, how could we go up and it not look like a W? And how do we avoid making this move to do it? And if we did that move, like, why would that be the 61? And it's just set up like that because everybody's aware of it, right? And everybody makes it or something, right? Just everybody's talking about that right now, right? Now, for some reason, something tells me they got the news open. They're asking the news to tell them what to think. Today, where we can see that's the originally placed beginning of the blue line relationship, where we came back to it very solidly, and essentially every movement since then has been associated with coming back to it and attacking it. Making it even on both sides has been a prerogative in this area as well. Like, I noticed that the distance that we most recently made on the top is incredibly similar to the one that we made on the bottom. And again, on the other side of the spectrum before returning equally back to that blue line. So I'm like, is there a relationship there? Well, I'll tell you one thing. At the end of the day, is it not true that when we do get to spend this much time away from that blue line, that it's a freaking luxury right now? That we don't actually really spend more than that time away? What if we did? Would we be done? Would we be done? Because something tells me they were interested in changing more than staying the same for people to benefit. And I'm like, really? Just doing that every time we've come back, we've managed to come back and return for roughly the same time. Every time we spend, what is it? Forgive my rudimentary sketch of 15 minutes. It increments the time that we're able to spend away, even on the highs. And it's funny how we could look at this whole thing and notice that, and not even notice that these ones are high up there. Not even notice that there's a relationship between the highs and the lows that is also the same. Perhaps there's also going to be on a bigger picture scale, like how we had these entire movements up here. What are the odds we don't see things like this again? Like, could we be making something that's pretty much the same? And this is interesting to me. So I see this was one way to start here at the beginning of this pattern. It was one way to end here. Is it not true? Now, we do have something that starts with the same confinement area here, yet I find it very interesting that it starts here and leads to that point. Despite the fact that it's never used that entire range, the same journey has been made to achieve the same thing. From the same point in time that it started to where it ended, all of the things that it's ever done have amounted to it being at that point. Even though we haven't been equal around it like we were when we did it the first time, the journey amounted to being at the same spot for the same time, despite the fact that the journey was different. So like the destination was the same. And I'm like, did we take these things over from the past? Like, were we using these highs and lows already, like in these areas already? Like, we didn't check that. You know what I mean? Then we could, if you want to. But I'm like, what is it going to make you do? Trade here? So I'm like, yeah, you could sit here and understand more than you do, is my point. And I'm like, well, we can look and dig, use our tools, understand the facts, the distances, the angles, the trends, and comprehend them and paint a picture of the story.
So where do you think the balance trade will go to?
I think we're going to be more interested in trying to break the yellow line and come back down to it from above, to be honest. But that's the number one thing.
Yellow line, meaning that line that is is a downward trend line.
Yeah, I'm more inclined on that line being broken and having value than the other line, the ultimate destination of the middle POC area. And if there's no stock killer, then it insinuates that the people that are left are so insignificant that they allow them to profit on whatever move they can, knowing that even if they were to sell all at one spot, that they'd be able to handle the pressure.